welcome to my first podcast episode. Let's consider my previous video like podcast episode 0, like an introductory or like a foundational element to explain a bit where I was in my knitting journey. That video was from the end of January, I think, so it's been a long time since and a lot more to cover. So I wrote down a little list, and obviously I wrote it wrong the first time. Podcast episode, right? How do they usually start? Yarn acquisitions, works in progresses, finished objects, knitwear. I'm wearing my first ever successfully knitted pair of socks. Yarn acquisitions, patterns, work in progress, finished objects. I think I'm all gonna put them all together, not into separate categories, because I have sort of a timeline since last time we talked, since last time I filmed. So let's start off with where I last left off. That was in January, end of January. What I managed to knit in that little period of time was these pair of socks with some, grocery store yarn that I bought. Very thick. Super thick. In January it was still really cold, so this ideally would have been nice to have then to wear, but actually one of them is knitted a lot tighter than the other one. This one, I think. The gauge is so much tighter that it really is a difference to wear them on your feet. Like, you really feel the difference of it. So what I'm planning to do is to frog this entire pair of socks, because as of now I only know how to knit cuff down socks and with a heel flap and gusset decrease, because I've been knitting a lot of socks lately. One thing I've noticed is that I get so nervous with knitting the second pair of socks, or even in the first pair, worried that I won't have enough yarn left for the second sock to finish it. So I've been really wanting to look into teaching myself, or learning YouTube videos, I guess, how to knit toe-up socks. I think that will be really useful, because, you know, it'd be great for scraps, to use up scraps to knit from the toe up. Then you don't need to estimate so much. So that's it for January. February, I casted on a swatch for a sweater to use up all of this obnoxious orange. This is a, what's the word in English? Utgått yarn quality from just like a, not a dollar store, but like a homewares store. And I had a bunch of that obnoxious orange. I bought everything they had left in stock long ago. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the previous video of mine, but this is really not a color I typically wear. As you can see, this is what I normally wear. Actually, not necessarily, well, this is my work t-shirt, but still serves the point. This is the color palette I would normally wear. Which is funny, because you can see all this yarn behind me that are supposed to become clothing in a while is much more colorful than as compared to the rest of my wardrobe. But I guess that's what knitting does to you. So to use up that yarn, I cast it on, let's see if I can get this out of the basket. Let's be gentle here. This is the Sjöbod sweater. This is the Sjöbod sweater from Järbo. It's actually supposed to be entirely in one color with the accent colorwork pattern, but I'm suspecting I'm running out, finally using up this yarn, but then my sweater wouldn't be long enough. So to counteract that, I switched the colors around to transition the main color at the bottom of the sweater to be brown, which is nice, because the brown one is not expiring, or they're all expired yarn qualities from that particular place that I purchased it from. But the brown, I have found a really good substitute for the color and the merino yarn. The substitute I use for that is Sandnes Garn Merinoull, and the brown color that they have is a pretty perfect match. So I'm confident I could finish it. So in the midst of knitting that, I think I cast it on maybe right at the beginning of February. Then I was knitting on it until I was knitting and knitting and knitting and got that far about halfway through February. And then I saw on Instagram, because I was just scrolling, a really gorgeous sweater and I just fell in love instantly. And it was a test call for that sweater. Obviously, I sign up. That was my first ever test knit. So that came in the way of all my other plans for finishing the sweater. The sweater went completely on hold. Everything went completely on hold and I dedicated all my time to just that test knit. The test knit is for a sweater that is laying right, let me just look at the monitor, there. That's the one. I will make a separate video on all of that later because it's quite an extensive process for me. So signing up for that test knit, it was my first time ever test knitting, ever knitting with blow yarn, and so I had to buy all the things myself. So one of the things I bought was the Drops needle set. So that's an acquisition from February. March, the weather was starting to warm up and really wanted to knit some lace socks. So I bought from Sandnes Garn, Sisu. Here's one of the colors. I couldn't find the label for the other color. I'll try and put it on screen if I find it. I think these colors are, what do you call it? Also expiring. I need to find the better word for that. I think these colors are going out of production. So these colors were sold 50% off at my local yarn store. Really pretty. I bought 2 of this one and 1 of this one. I don't know if it shows up as black on the monitor, but it's this color. Yeah, pretty petroleum green and bright mint green. And I thought, for socks, it's fun to explore with color. So with that, with the weather getting warmer and more sunnier, I decided to knit with a frilly top some lace socks. Self-drafted mostly. I actually wanted to follow the pattern for the Petal drop socks from Handmade by Florence, but I didn't have 2.25mm needles, and the stitch count given, even for the smallest size, would be too big for my feet. So I had to self-draft a little bit. I used some of the charts in that pattern to inspire me and guide me with the lace pattern of the sock, but I had to make much fewer stitch count for the circumference of my foot and my leg. So knitting this was great. It was fun, it was a breeze, it was relaxing, it was great. I knit the second sock. I don't know why, I wasn't even stressed, but I knit it so tightly. I'm almost embarrassed to show it. I knit it so tightly and I tried to mitigate the tightness that I only discovered at the end of having knit the second sock. I tried to mitigate it by blocking it out and stretching it while it's wet. Girl, it did not work the way I wanted it to. Look at this ridiculous... Oh my god. I do not have words. This is way too wide. It's way too wide for my leg. This looks super silly. And the heel flap is like falling underneath the heel, and you can see here it's stretched out much more than at the bottom of the flap. I'm so pissed. And the sock blocker I'm using, I made this myself with cardboard, tape, and a dream. Maybe not a dream, just a desperate hope. So yeah, that's that. Let me jump ahead in the timeline, because I do have a strict timeline I'm following with going through my acquisitions now, but let me just interrupt it for a little bit, because there was a lot more yarn left, much more than I thought, after finishing these cute socks, that I decided to knit a second pair of socks using these colors to try and use it up. This is where I am now so far, currently working on it. So my most recent project. Maybe it's nicer when it is flat, even though it's flat the way you would knit it. And I think right about here, just maybe one set of these stripes, one more set of those stripes, and then I'm gonna decrease for the toe, which I will be using this color for it. When that happens, I will have so much more left of this color, much more than I thought. And this is probably the longest pair of socks that I've knit. Like, the leg is the longest I've ever knit a leg of a sock, and I still have yarn left I can't believe it. This is unbelievable to me. But anyways, yeah, with this much left, I'm thinking I should probably try to knit this one again without taking this up first, without frogging this first. Just beginning on this one, see how far I get. If I run out, then I'll frog this and use the yarn that's in here to complete it. And hopefully I will have relaxed my knitting tension by then. So let's jump back to the timeline. We're in March, I think. Yes, March. And I had just bought this cute sock yarn. A few days after that visit to the yarn store, I remember seeing also in the discount bin this Sandnes Garn Duo, half and half. 55% Merino, 45% Bomull. Cotton. So yeah, a cotton merino blend from Sandnes Garn. I thought this would be great for summer, and there was quite a big quantity left of it in the discount bin. So I thought, wow, this is my chance. I have to take it and buy it. And this color is so gorgeous. I really think knitting has really truly opened my eye to color and wearing color, not being afraid to put color on my body, because that's a huge fear. That's why I stick to wearing black and stuff, but not now anymore. This color, I fell in love with it when I saw it. I think it's called Sunny Lime on their website. I think this, or it may not be on their website anymore. This is Sunny Lime color 9825. I think this color is also going out of production because they couldn't replicate this color. When I go on their website now, I find one that's a little bit darker and a little bit brighter. And so I think, yeah, they couldn't necessarily replicate this exact thing. Too far off in the color that they couldn't call it the same color. So they made two new colors. So I guess that's why they got a 50 clearance, is that what they call it in English? And with this yarn, I was hoping to knit the twist loop top pattern by, was it Other Loops? It's so beautiful, so pretty. Would be a perfect top for summer, but we're in summer now. Or we're not really in summer quite yet, but we're nearing summer, and as you can see, I have not yet casted on or used any of this green yarn that I bought, which I'm not sure if I want to yet. I'm afraid I'm not ready. That pattern, that top is so pretty, it's so sleek, it's so gorgeous. I haven't really knit with any real big cables yet, and that's a cable going down here, and I think that's so cool, but I'm not sure if I'm ready yet. Like, what if I mess up the cables and it's right in the center of your body? Like, that's gonna be very noticeable. So I've been a little bit scared, and that's why I haven't dared to cast it on or try yet. So yeah, all throughout, where are we now? March? Yeah. All throughout, halfway through February and most of March, I was knitting on that test knitting pattern right there, and I only very recently finished. Well, it's off the needles, but it's not actually finished yet. I have some sewing to do, weaving in the ends and embroidering flowers on it. After that, I need to wash it and block it, and then I will hopefully be making a video all about my experience with it. That's also why I don't have much of other projects, and I didn't cast twist loop top on yet with this. In April, I bought Sandnes Garn Tykk, also half off, because I love the half off bin. I bought two colors, one purple, one green, 5224 for the purple, and 8733 for the green. I bought Tykk. It's not that Tykk anymore, to put it that way. When I first bought it and I knit a little swatch, my goodness, it was just so thick, and it's just all plant fiber. And I was thinking, with line, I wanted to knit like a summer garment. The fabric it created, how thick that was, I could never wear that in summer, I think. So what I did, girl, I had five balls. What's it called? Skeins? Well, 5 balls of yarn, and they're plied very loosely. So I took the 2 plies that were plied around each other, split them. All 5 balls, all 60 meters of them. Yeah, that's also another thing. Sandnes Garn Tykk line is only 60 meters long, which I think is very short. So when I split them in 2, I got 120. And so I stood at the top of my staircase, dropped the yarn down, split them in 2, rolled them up into 2 balls, took the end of the ball onto the yarn winder, wound it up, come to the end of it, attach the other one, wound it up. Then I have the full 50 grams, but now 120 meters. So this is what you get. And as you can see, the ply is incredibly loose. Like, this is about to fall out of each other. Like, that's how easy it is. If I did that, I think this would be what tynn line is. Tynn line together, you get line. Two line together, you get tykk line. But yet, still, I have no idea what would you use tykk line for. What kind of garment? Anyways, I bought 2 skeins of purple, which is the color 5224. Pretty. And then I bought green. Color is 8733. That's the color. Very pretty. And with that, I have knit the first panel, a summer top. This is Midsummer Day, I think the pattern design is called, by Drops. I've really been liking Drops lately, and a lot of, cause they have free patterns. That's the best thing, you know? And there's clearly a market for free patterns, as there has recently been case of this Discord chat with people having stolen, pirated, sharing paid designs to other people for free. Clearly there's a demand for patterns to be free. And where is there a huge database of free patterns? Drops design. So I think people should give them more of a chance. I rarely hear people talk about Drops and mentioning their designs and huge design database for patterns. I only hear people talk about their yarns. But their patterns, I think it's great to go through. Wow, I've reached my favorites limits, which is 200 designs. I have favorited 200 designs, and now I have to go through and unfavorite the ones that I frivolously favorited, so that I may keep adding more favorites. Anyways, this is the first panel of, let me see if I can put this on. First panel of a summer top. I think it's called Midsummer's Day, and it is very small on me. I look so silly right now, but I'll probably put this lower like that. So yeah, it has beautiful little designs of cables that to me look like little butterflies. I think it's so pretty. However, with this pattern, it did not find my size. When I cast it on for the smallest size, so it's knit in 2 identical panels, right? When I casted it on, already the amount of what was cast on could almost reach around the full circumference of my body, and I was like, how can this be? So I tried to do some math and scale it down to my measurements. I was wrong on my measurements. So this is very tight, and I scaled down because quite tight for my body measurements, because I've heard that plant-based yarns stretch or tend to stretch over time. So I was hoping that would work in my favor. And when I blocked it, as you can see, I pulled it out quite a bit. Yeah. So I'm hoping I'm gonna knit the other panel in this color so that I may reverse it for whichever color I feel like wearing in the front. And I think that would be cool. If it does get too tight, I'm thinking of just knitting like some rectangles to place underneath the armholes to just, yeah, work like an expansion to the tank top when I seam it all together. What's next? Let's see. Midsummer's Day, Drops, and my stripe/checkered socks, which I already showed earlier, which is, here I have a little swatch of a pattern. I was actually hoping to do a little bit of color work when I first bought these colors. I never blocked this because I knew I wasn't gonna be using it, but here's some different tests of some hearts. Yeah, didn't end up using them. but it's fine. So now to use up these colors, I was gonna have like a mismatch or like a matching pair of socks. So one is gonna be like this, and the other one is gonna have the colors inverted. Except for the cuff, they're both gonna have the same dark colored cuff because that's actually a different yarn. This is from a different yarn I bought, which was Merinoull. So this is not nylon reinforced. Also Sandnes garn. Sandnes garn, tynn merino, I think this is. So not nylon reinforced, and that's why I used it for the cuff and not where you will get a lot of wear and tear, which is like the underside of the foot and the heel. So that's why both cuffs are the same color, because I needed to use up what yarn scrap I have of it. So later on, the second sock is going to be inversed. So the background color is going to be dark and the stripes are going to be light. Same goes for the heel. The heel is going to be light and the toe will be light later on the second sock, future sock. Then afterwards, I'm hoping to have some yarn left where I will duplicate stitch or surface crochet maybe vertical lines, also 2 thin ones right next to each other to get like a sort of like a checkerboard pattern. I'm hoping. We'll see how that turns out. It'll be fun, I think. So that's my current project. Great to have on the go. I love knitting socks. This is, yeah, also this and the ruffle socks is my first time knitting with thin needles. 2.5 needles. It's the smallest needles I have in my possession. I've tried to look for 2.25, but it's difficult to find in Norway. But I did see just 2mm needles, which is quite thin, but I think I'm low-key thinking I'm ready for it. I'm really liking knitting with smaller and smaller needles. Yeah. Where am I now? Okay, yeah, we're up to date in the timeline. Great. So now it's acquisitions that I haven't done anything with that were recent. So recent yarn acquisitions include, let's have a look here. It's still in the bag, but this is opened. This is, it's so soft to touch. Viking Garn Trend Merino Petite in the color 373. It is a very thin yarn. They say it's recommended for 3mm needles, but honestly I think this is like light fingering, even like maybe heavy lace, if there is such a denomination. Look at that when I flip it over you see how thin that is? That is incredibly thin. I can't believe they say this for 3mm needles. I think this is actually thinner yarn than even the Sisu sock yarn on 2.5mm needles. This is probably thinner. But even with such thin yarn, really wanted to knit a very lightweight, airy, lacy sweater pattern that would be nice to throw over like a tank top in summertime. I bought 3 of them, and with this I'm hoping to knit, what's it called? Let's see here. Blue Porcelain. It's a sweater pattern by Drops Design. That particular pattern is intended for, I don't know what needle, 4, 5, 6, I'm not sure. Certainly much bigger needles than what this yarn is suitable for. So I bought this during my knit night, local knit night, at the yarn store. So I got to talk with the yarn store owner. She's very skilled and good with math, so she helped me size down needles and yeah, do some math and teach me some math, how to convert using the knitting tension, like my own knitting tension versus that pattern's intended knitting tension, and casting on stitches in the breadth of how many centimeters. So we concluded with needle size 3.5, I think, for the lace pattern. And here is a swatch of one of the lace panels for the sweater. I think it turns out nice. It's a little bit loose in the little stockinette portion of it. It's a little bit loose, but I think it's gonna be fine for like a shawly, lacy kind of sweater. I think it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be fine. I really look forward to trying to knit that with not intended yarn, not intended needles. It's gonna be a bit nerve-wracking, but exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Then I also bought some more yarn. This was on 50% because I think this one is also going out of production. This is Concept by Katia, Reiki. Look at these colors. Oh my god. Are they not just stunning? How could I ever walk away from this? This is the color 203 dye lot 62570A, if that means anything to anybody. This is intended to knit on needle 6, which is quite large. It's very woolly. Wow, it's very fuzzy as well. Wow, I'm trying to separate them so I can show you a strand. Hold on. Give me a moment, please. Aha. Here's a strand. It's very... The core is thin, but the fuzz is so significant, and it really, like, they really cling to one another. So even though the fabric, when you knit this up in 6mm, could be quite holey, or like you can see through it a bit, the fibers that are very thin still weave together like this, and it keeps you warm. It's certainly not gonna be very effective against wind or anything, but it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be very lightweight and very warm still. This is 60% alpaca, 29% wool, 11% polyamide. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's so pretty. Look at that. And this purchase, and just looking at my bag, my shopping bag with these colors in it, I've been telling myself, insisting to others, that I don't have a favorite color. Girl! Look at this. Hold the phone. Oof. I don't have a favorite color? Girl. This too? Come on. No favorite color? Clearly, my yarn purchases says otherwise. Yeah. I still don't want to say that. I still don't want to admit that these are my favorite colors, because I'm afraid of commitment, and I'm really learning to love color more and more. So much more color than what I would have ever thought. So I don't want to say that these are my favorites and close off the potential for other colors to climb up my favorites list. But yeah, there's just something about purple that is so beautiful and mystical, and something about light, bright green that is so like cheerful and friendly. Yeah. And them two in combination, so cool. So pretty. I love it. Let's have a look. Where am I now? Aha. Yeah, where am I now? Yes. With this, I'm hoping to knit the Winter Hug Hood by Drops Design, but that's subject to change because I also very recently impulse bought another pattern. I bought the Drift Sweater pattern by Irene, which it has some really cool like wavy sort of accent things all around the body and sleeves. I may or may not use this in those. That'd be kind of cool. So that's the end of all my yarn acquisitions and summarizing all of my projects I've been doing since last time. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about some thoughts and feelings I have had about this channel in these months that I haven't been uploading or filming or anything. So the purpose of my channel, for me, I want it to be that a place where I can talk and discuss and air out my thoughts and feelings about my current knitting projects, future knitting projects, yarn I like, trends I see in knitting, just thoughts and feelings about knitting and yarn in general. I want it to be sort of like an open diary for this hobby specifically. So knitting, yarn, crafting in general, honestly. And I also thought a little bit about what sort of tone of voice, how formal or how casual do I want to be with my channel. How put together should my videos and my speech and my script, which I don't have a script, it's just a guideline. Yeah, how structured should I be? And I've concluded, after holding myself back so much, I've concluded that I want it to be quite informal, very relaxed, very candid. I came to this realization because there was a huge gap, or not a huge gap, but a huge space in the timeline that I went through that was dedicated to the test knit only. I thought I could be a monogamous knitter, but knitting monogamously just like that, I think it really impacted me quite more negatively than I thought it would. And I never noticed any of these signs in the midst when I was knitting monogamously, only dedicating and focusing all my time, free time and energy towards this one project. I didn't notice it whilst doing that. It's only afterwards now, in the aftermath, when the test knit is off the needles, now all I have to do is, the after work of it, that I realized how much I've missed to just cast on spontaneously and knit whatever I want. And yeah, not only did that test knit feel like it was holding me back from knitting other things, it also felt like it was holding me back from making videos and making podcast episodes. Because I'm not sure if the right word is pressure, but I was being very strict with myself that I have to follow a certain timeline. That last time I uploaded a video was a recap of the entire year prior. Obviously now what comes next is my this sweater and that sweater. But I wanted to make a dedicated video for just that sweater because it was my first ever test knit. And I felt like if I had not made a video for that sweater, I could not make this podcast video, which is all in my head that way. And I cannot make a video on that sweater until it's done. I have yet to embroider the entire front of it. I have yet to wash it and block it. It has yet to dry from that wash and block, which hasn't happened yet. So I could not film a video on that project until it's all done. Meaning I had all of this just piling up physically and mentally in my head that I felt like, oh God, once I'm done with that sweater, filmed a video, published a video, I will have all of this and more as a backlog. That really stressed me out, and the fear of the backlog was greater than the fear of breaking my timeline. So now I've made this podcast video, I've cleared this backlog, and I am free. At the cost of breaking my timeline. But breaking my chronological timeline, in order to do that, I had to confront what's the tone and accuracy of this channel. Do I need it to be very structured and formalized? And I concluded with no. As much as, I don't know, I like structure and I like order. I just found out that that's not a sustainable or viable option for me and my knitting, because sometimes I will have projects that span over a long time and that I will want to dedicate a video to, that I wouldn't want to put a pause on everything else in my life just in order to keep the chronological order. So I had to confront myself and my thoughts that it's okay, it's okay to not be so rigid. And that's what I want my channel to be. An open diary, spontaneous, my casual, candid thoughts and feelings. And the same case with my speech too, or just like the way I talk. I'm gonna try and talk more in the way that I speak in person, but it's difficult. I've never been a YouTuber before. I've never made videos, anything where I'm recording myself audio and video to publish online anywhere. So sitting down in front of the camera and seeing my little screen in the mirror, because I'm filming on my phone with a mirror in the back so that I can see the screen of my phone in the reflection of the mirror, seeing myself in my phone screen with that red timestamp at the top and the pause and play button, or the pause and stop button, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. And the 5 cameras of my phone just looking at me. And hearing my own voice out loud in a room that's empty with just me. I'm not the kind of person who talks to myself when I'm thinking, so it's strange to hear my own voice in a conversation or monologue I should say, because it's just me. And that's a little bit unsettling and it makes me nervous. So I speak a little bit stiff right at the beginning of videos for quite a while, and then I ease up. I noticed that while filming right now, and I noticed it in the previous video. I don't know if I'll ever get better or not, but I'm gonna continue anyway. I'm just gonna have to accept that I'm nervous and stiff in my speech and stumble over words because I don't have a natural accent in English that I default to. Certainly not on my own. My accent is very dependent on who I'm talking to. I mimic their accent. When I'm alone, I have nobody to mimic, which makes it quite difficult, but I try my best. And I want to tell myself I'm not afraid of learning along the way, and I'm not afraid to visibly be learning along the way. Sorry, I need to fidget with something and this one got stuck in my nails. Yeah, it's okay to learn along the way. It's okay to be messy. I need to tell myself that it is okay. And I accept myself and my imperfections. It is okay. It's okay. And you're okay. And I hope your experience of watching this video was okay. And I hope to be continuing. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking this one out and watching all the way through. Bye bye!